Hello everyone, this is day 22 and this is our math lesson. Now with this new type of video learning, you have the option to listen to any part of the lesson again. So if you feel like something's going too fast or if you need to hear something again, you can press pause and back it up, and you can pause the video to work on a problem if you need more time. So please remember that you are always able to press the pause button that looks like this, and then to start it back up again you can press the play button that looks like a triangle. So things you'll need for this lesson: you'll need a quiet place to work, you'll need your packet, day 22, this is the first page here, you'll need a pencil, and you'll need some scissors. So please press pause and make sure you have all of your materials. Then when you're ready, press play. Okay, so our goals or our objectives for this lesson is I can use the vocabulary longer than or shorter than to compare the length of two objects. So what that means is if we have a line like this and a line like this, we would be able to say that the dark blue line is longer than the yellow line, and the yellow line is shorter than the dark blue line. Our second objective says that I can use objects to measure, I can use cubes to measure objects. So what that means is that in class we would be using these things called centimeter cubes, but at home I have added something to your packet for you to use to measure. So what yours looks like now is this. We have centimeter squares here, all in a line, and we will use that as a tool for measuring to see how long something is. So our vocabulary in English is longer than, or más larga que, shorter than, más corta que, measure, medir. Now I want you to practice those words. Longer than, shorter than, to measure. Más larga que, más corta que, and midair. Okay, so this is just like we would do in class as our warm-up. We're going to practice some subtraction facts today. Make sure you're looking at that symbol here. We're going to be subtracting. So I'm going to read the equation. I want you to read the equation, and then I want you to say the answer. And then I'll write the correct answer over here to see if you're correct. Are you ready? 9 minus 1 equals 8. 8 minus 5 equals 3. 10 minus 1 equals 9. 9 minus 7 equals 2. Now I want you to do a tree pose. Just like we would in class. Yes, you actually have to do it. Now we're going to count to 10. Are you ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good, shake it out. 5 minus 4 equals 1. 7 minus 3 equals 4. 11 minus 1 equals 10. 10 minus 2 equals 8. Warrior 1. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, sit back down. Alright, now you need to do your number sprint. So this is the first page in your packet. Before you begin, I want you to look at all of the symbols here. Are we adding? Are we putting together? Or are we taking away? We are subtracting. So we are taking some away. So our answer should be getting smaller. And then I want you to notice also over here, you're filling in the missing part. This one you're missing the number we're starting with. You're missing the total. So now I want you to pause your video and complete all of your subtraction problems. Okay, now that you're unpaused, that means you have finished all of your subtraction problems here. If you haven't, make sure you pause and finish all of your problems. Okay, now we sat for a long time now. Now I want you to do downward dog. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. This is an example. So for this, you are not writing anything down. You are watching and listening and answering my questions. Okay? We are not writing anything down right now. Okay. So for this example, we are looking at a pencil and an eraser. And we have to think about which one is longer and which one is shorter. And our goal is to answer this sentence at the bottom here. The pencil is blank the eraser. So we have to figure out and use these two words over here. Is the pencil longer than or shorter than the eraser? That's our goal. So what I'm going to do is first I'm going to line up the pencil and the eraser like this. I'm going to draw a line at the end of the pencil and the end of the eraser. So now I'm going to look at it. The eraser ends at this line here. And I'm noticing that there's all this space left and there's still more pencil. So now I'm thinking, which one is longer? Like bigger. Which one is longer? The pencil is longer than. So the pencil is longer than the eraser. Okay, so what about the eraser? How would we describe the eraser? We could say that it's smaller than, but thinking about our vocabulary, longer and shorter, which one would mean the same as smaller than? Shorter than, good. So the eraser is shorter than the pencil. Okay, now thinking back to our sentence, it says the pencil is blank the eraser. So we're starting with the pencil. So is the pencil longer than the eraser or shorter than? Longer than, right. So I'm going to write that at longer than. And I know how to spell these two words because they're right here. Now let's look at another example. Again, you're watching and listening and answering the questions. So, what are we measuring this time and what are we comparing this time? We're comparing the bear and the blocks. So again, I'm going to draw my line to kind of see where they start and end. You would do your best to make that a straight line. Mine isn't completely straight, almost. It's a little tricky when you're drawing it, though, without a ruler. Okay, so here's the beginning of the bear and the blocks. Now I'm going to draw a line just at the end of the bear. And then this line is showing the end of the blocks here. So, going back to our vocabulary, which object is longer than the other? Is the bear longer or the blocks? How do you know that? The blocks are longer because there's all this space here of blocks for where there's no bear. So all of that space is still extra blocks. So I know that the blocks are longer than the bear. Now how about this one? Shorter than. Which object is shorter? Is the bear shorter or is the blocks shorter? How do you know that? Right, so the bear is shorter than the blocks because, again, for the same reason, there's all this extra space that the bear doesn't use, that the blocks does. So the bear is blank the blocks. Is the bear longer or shorter than the blocks? The bear is shorter. So I'm going to write the words here. Shorter than. Great. Okay. Now this is where you need your packet. This is your second page of your math packet. So let's read the directions that are right here. Write the words longer than or shorter than to make the sentences true. So the sentences means that the sentences have to be correct. So it's saying something that's actually true. Okay. So this is what we just did with the pencil and the eraser and the bear and the blocks. So our first one, it says Abby. And I know that this little dog here is Abby because it has his name. So this is Abby. And this is Spot. And we have to say Abby is blank Spot. So we're starting with Abby. Okay. So I think this one you can tell by looking at it. So first I want you to just look at it and think which one is longer and which one is shorter. Okay, before you write your answer, I want you to draw the lines with me. Let's match up where both dogs end. So her tail and his foot there. And now I want you to draw a line where Abby ends because the problem is starting with Abby. So we need to look at Abby. Okay. Here's where Abby ends. Now I want you to draw a line where spot ends. Oops, I cut Spot's nose off a little bit. Let me fix that. There we go, that's better. Again, try and draw a straight line as best you can. If you have a ruler, that would be great, but if not, try to draw a straight line. Okay, is Abby longer than Spot or shorter than Spot? How do you know that? Okay, so Abby is shorter than. And I know how to spell shorter than because the word is right here on the top. So make sure you write your answer on your line here for number 1. Okay, looking at number 2 now, we have, it looks like a box and some sort of cylinder here. So again, I'm going to start with the same thing. I'm going to draw a line. Oh, let's read the sentence first. B is blank A. So I'm going to draw a line where B ends and begins on both sides. So now I want you to think, is B longer than A or is B shorter than A? How do you know that? B is shorter than A. So again, I'm going to write shorter than A. Very good. Now you have numbers 3, 4, and 5. You're going to do the same thing. You're writing shorter than or longer than. And yours is in the same spot on the top of your paper where the directions are. So I will read them for you so you can see what the question is, and then I'm going to tell you to pause it, and so then you need to fill in your answer, okay? So number 3, the American flag hat, that's this one, is blank the chef hat, which is this one. So the American flag hat is blank the chef hat. Go ahead and pause your video and fill in your answer. Okay. Number 4. The darker bat's wingspan, that's this one, is blank the lighter bat's wingspan. So which bat is the darker bat longer or shorter than the lighter bat? Pause your video and write your answer. Okay, number 5. Number 5. We're looking at 2 guitars. Which guitar is longer and which guitar is shorter? So it says guitar B, that's this one, is blank guitar A. So is guitar B longer or shorter? So pause your video and write your answer. Okay. Now you need to put your paper and pencil down again. This is another example, so you're watching and listening. Okay. So now we're going to look at using objects to measure, not just looking to see which one is longer and shorter. We're going to find out how long something is. So we are going to use these squares. Do you see how I have all these blue squares lined up next to each other? That is something very important to know when you're measuring and you're using objects. You can use anything to measure. You can use paper clips. You can use crayons. You could use markers. You could use anything to measure, as long as they're all the same size. Okay? We would not want to use one paper clip that's big like that and one that's really little, because these are not the same size now. So when you're measuring, your objects have to be the same size, and something else that's important is they have to be next to each other. So do you see how all of these, hold on, let me try that again. All of these blocks, all of these squares are touching. There's no gaps. When we're measuring, we don't want to have big gaps between. Because now we have all this extra space, so it's not really telling us how long something is using those objects. So when you're measuring, make sure they're all touching, like in our example here. So now I want to see how long this basketball is. So you have to line up. So we're going to line up the end of the basketball with the end of our measuring tool, like this. And then we're going to look to see where the end of the basketball is and where it lands on our tool here. So I can see that the basketball is 1, 2, 3. 3 blocks or squares long. Okay, now let's look at another example. I have 2 objects here. First, I want you to tell me which object is using the measuring tool, our squares, correctly. Is the tree using the measuring squares or cubes the right way? Or is the book? Which one is correct? Why? The book, the squares are not in a line. They're not lined up. The squares aren't touching. There's all this space here. They're not touching. And they also don't start and end where the book are. The square is lined up on this side, but there's all these gaps and they're not in a straight line. So we cannot use this to measure with. So I want you to tell me, how many cubes long is the tree? Go ahead and count. Okay, so the tree is how many cubes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The tree is 6 cubes long. Now you're going to do it with me. But you need to pause your video because you need to cut out your measuring tool here. Do you see how there's this dotted line? You need to cut on the dotted line. Do not cut the actual squares. Cut on the line, the dotted line here. So pause your video and cut out your tool. Okay, so our directions say, measure the length of each picture with your cubes. Complete the statements below. So to measure, we're going to line up, the first one is the pencil. So we're going to line up the end of the pencil with our cubes. And now we're going to count how many cubes long is the pencil. 1, 2, there's the end, 3. So we're going to write the number 3. The pencil is 3 centimeter cubes long. Good. Now I have to switch my slide so you can see the next picture lined up. But it's still the same problems, okay? Okay, now we're doing the pan. So here's the pan. I'm going to line up the end of my pan with my measuring tool. And I'm going to see how many. The pan is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The pan is 5 centimeter cubes long. Now you read it. Centimeter just means that's how big each square is. Okay, our next problem. Okay, now we're going to measure the shoe. The shoe, so 1, 2, 3, 4. The shoe is 4 centimeter cubes long. Good. All right, now you're going to do the rest of the problems by yourself. I will help you read each sentence, but then you need to pause your video and answer the problem, okay? Okay, so the first, number 4, says the bottle. So that's this one here. Go ahead and pause your video and measure the bottle. Number 5 is the paintbrush. Measure the paintbrush and pause your video. Number 6 is the bag. Number 7 is the ant. And number 8 is the cupcake. All right, make sure you pause it so you can measure all of these objects. Now that your 3 math pages are done, you need to take a picture and send it to Miss Nicole in your portfolio on Class Dojo. That way I can grade it and mark down that you completed your work. So don't forget to take a picture, upload it on Class Dojo, and send it to Miss Nicole. So don't forget, if this video went too fast for you, you can pause it, hit the pause button, and you can back it up and watch it again, and you can press play. Okay? You guys did a great job.